Okay, so we're gonna take a look at the world map component and how to set things up. So just a quick briefing for this component. It gives you the ability to fire events based on your minimap. Although there is no minimap component yet, this is going to be a micro feature for the minimap component in the future. So here in this data table, I just have a quick demo of what you can do. This is just a texture for the temperature here, as you can see. And in this texture, I have a hot area and a cold area. So these areas here on my minimap, I'm supposed to get warm, and I plugged it into the map texture. And down here, we can specify which events to fire based on the color channels. So for the temperature, it's already automatically set up for the temperature component. So when you have something in here, you just type in the amount that it's supposed to be multiplied by. So let's see how to configure things. So first, we need to go to our level, and before we do anything, we need to make sure that our play area is it has something squared. It covers the play area completely for the minimap as well. So for my play area for this level here, I have a floor mesh, and it covers the entire play area. So I know this is the bounds for my level. So what I need to do next is I need to go navigate to the ADC component in the blueprints folder, grab the world map blueprint, drop it into the level, and it's gonna go somewhere. And we need to go down here, and we need to tell it which is the bounds actor. So for my bounds actor, it's this floor mesh. So I'm gonna specify this one, and it's gonna automatically make sure that it's clipped properly. Make sure that your play area is squared, so this mesh is always squared. And your mesh should also have the pivot in the center of it. Next, we also need to specify a camera actor so we can capture a reference photo for the texturing. So what we need to do here, we need to go to the place actors panel, type in camera, and we will need to grab this camera actor here. We will need to put it down here. We can close the actors panel, and now we have our camera, and we can go back to our world map blueprint, tell it, hey, this is our camera, and it's gonna do some stuff. And next, we need to make sure that it points down so we can capture a proper reference photo, oriented correctly. And down here, we need to make sure that it's orthographic and the aspect ratio is 1 completely. And we will also need to configure the ortho width properly. So for this, we will need to do some calculations. So we need to go back to the world map blueprint right here, and we need to go down to this map capture static mesh, and we need to see what the scale is. So the scale for the X and Y is 0.4. They should not be different, they should always be the same. So it's 0.4. Now this mesh that I made is supposed to be 5 meters. So it's 5,000 units for Unreal. So to get the orthographic width correctly, we will need to use these numbers, the static mesh number and the scale number. So I already calculated it here, but we'll just go through it again. So we go 0.4 multiplied by the static mesh area, and we get 2000. However, we need to then multiply it by 2 for some reason, and we get 4000. So that's what you do. You need to capture the scale of the map capture, multiply it by 5000, and then multiply it by 2 after that. So we grab 4000, and then we put in 4000 here, and it's going to be perfectly aligned, so there's no room for errors. Next, we need to man this camera so we can capture the photo. So we will need, so this is camera actor 2. So I'll go into camera actor 2, change this to unlit, and I'll go into full screen mode, and I'll go to my high resolution screenshot, capture this, and we will need to put this somewhere. So we need to open this in Photoshop and make our texture, make our minimap. So here I'm back in Photoshop, and I have my reference photo for my play area for the level, so I know what all these rooms are. I know what's supposed to be here, what's supposed to be there, what's gonna go. So I just need to texture it. But before we do anything like that, we need to go to the image size and make sure it's 1024. It's a power of 2 basically. So we need to make sure that it's set to a power of 2 before we do any editing. So first you'll need your whatever, like your areas that are supposed to fire events. So for my area, I want this area to be hot for the temperature. So I colored in this room, and I colored in this area. So I know that when the player goes here, it's going to be warm for the temperature component. And this is good because you don't get to use so many component overlap events. It's just much nicer like this. Next, before we do any exporting, we need to do a black solid for the background, and then we can export this texture, and then we can use it into the level. So now I'm back in the level, and I'm back in my player blueprint. I need to make sure that I add in the world map component, ADC world map, and I plug in the levels like this. So this level here, it's called testing ground. So in my player blueprint, I plug in the name of the level and then the data table for that level. So here I just have two simple things. I just have my objectives texture map and my temperature texture map. So it's very simple stuff, and you should keep this data table below 10. Don't go over 10, because this is utilizing render targets. So here I'm just debugging my temperature, so I know that this texture is working as like an overlap event. So we can jump to the level. So if you look back at the texture, this area is supposed to be warm. So this area would translate to this area over here. So as you can see, when I step into this area, it becomes warm. Okay, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to go through this component quickly because it will give you greater optimization for your game, so you don't have to use so many component overlaps, and it also gives you greater visualization for your events. Okay, hope this was useful to you. Thank you.